Timing is everything when it comes to real estate. I've said this in previous videos that you can do all the upgrades in the world, but if you miss the market, you're just not going to get top dollar for your home. So what I want to take you through is an exercise that I go through with anybody who I'm meeting with who's planning on selling their home. So whenever I have that meeting, a part of that meeting is dedicated towards just giving them a market update and a market outlook. So I wanted to do that here for you right now live, and just going to give you an idea of what to expect, timing, the best time to buy, the best time to sell, and just you can make your real estate decisions based on that. So I'm going to show you right here. I was just thinking I should have put this on a wall to show you, but you get to enjoy the beautiful snowstorm outside. So I apologize if you have to stare at my butt, but I'm going to show you something pretty cool here. So here's January, here's June, and here's December. So start of the year, end of the year, midpoint. So here's how the market trends, and this is when you should really be putting your home on the market, and perhaps a great time to buy if that's all you're doing, just a purchase. So the market starts off here. January goes up a little bit into February, into March, into April, and then all of a sudden we find it kind of flatlines around May, and then June, July starts to come down. July comes down, and I'll explain all of this. Then it kind of flattens out in August, bumps up again in September, October, flattens out again in end of November, December, we see it coming down. Now, this is just a ballpark as to what we've been seeing over the last number of years, the trends involved. So obviously the beginning of the year starts a little bit slow. It's the beginning of the year, Christmas is just past, the holidays have just passed, so that's why it starts slow. But as you get a week or so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into January, starts to climb. Then all of a sudden, you start to see this constant upward trend. Now, it kind of goes to right here. That's about, I would say, May. Right there. Right about here, I would say is May. Then in May, you start to see it flatten until you get to June. And then in July, it starts to come down. So why does the market, first of all, come down in July? Well, a lot of people who are shopping for a house, they go on vacation, they're on summer holidays. If they immigrated from a different country, they went back to their homeland during the summer. They're in the Caribbean, they're going up north, they're just not here looking at real estate. And so when you take out a big segment of the buyers, then time on the market increases. When time on the market increases, buyers tend to negotiate the prices more because sellers' homes are just sitting there instead of 1 week, 2 weeks. It's sitting there now for 30 days, 40 days. Sellers' pricing does come down. So the market and overall activity does drop. Pricing does drop. And you'll see it continue to drop until you get to about August. Then right around the beginning of August, it starts to flatten out until September, first week back of September. We're starting to talk about fall market. You get that little bump. And then that little bump lasts until October, right until about November. And the reason we start to see it flatline and then come down in November is the closer you get to December or the end of the year, the more people are focused on holidays or focused on the end of the year. But the reason it kind of drops off from fall market is simply because it gets dark a little bit early, the weather starts to shift, and really real estate just doesn't, it's not as paramount in people's minds as what it is earlier in the year. And of course, the second half of the year, not too many people are keen on taking their kids out of school and having them change schools. Now, the opposite is true for spring. So the reason you get this big climb in the spring is because a lot of people are getting into the spring market with the expectation of closing at the end of June, because that's when school's out. But the word spring, we have to be very, very careful with that. Our team, we're now starting to say late winter market. So late winter being February, most of March, because technically spring doesn't kick in until the third week of March, and spring finishes near the end of June. So by the time you get to the end of June, the market's already plateaued, because the reason you get that flat line, the reason it plateaus is because a lot of those springtime buyers, those people that have kids that are trying to get a closing for back to school, they've already bought and they've left the market. So now all of a sudden inventory starts to sit, prices aren't going up the way they were a month prior. So this right here, let's just say is February. You start to see it really kind of climb there all the way here. That takes you right to the end of April. Now, once you get to the end of April, you get into May, the market's still high, properties still move. It's just, you may notice a bit of a slowdown coming. That's what we found over the last few years. So spring market starts early and it finishes early. You still get the same period of time, but it's just moved back in the year a little bit. So if you're selling, this is a great time. And of course, if you're buying, this is a great time. And this is also a great time if you're buying. This is also a great time if you're selling. So anyways, I know that's a mess. It's how my brain sometimes puts things together. When I'm with a seller who's selling their home, I kind of describe it like that in person. And I guess it makes sense. And this is based on a number of years, excluding the COVID years where we just had constant growth and then we had the interest rate drop right after. But outside of that anomaly, this is fairly predictable. Anyways, I hope that helps. See you guys.